Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do a protein assay. And this is going to be kind of qualitative because we don't have a spectrophotometer to read the colors. But regardless, you're going to learn some important skills. Okay, first of all, we're just going to try to get some calculations as far as how much we estimate there is, how much protein we estimate there is in each sample. So I have three kinds of protein samples. I got my fat-free half and half. I have oat milk. And I have this smoothie drink I like called La La. And I looked on the back of for the nutritional information, and for fat-free half and half it says 1 gram per serving. Now I can tell you pretty much when they say that, they're going to round up. So because protein is a good thing to have. So it's probably between 0.5 and 1. But anyway, it's in 30 milliliter serving size, so that's 0.03 grams per mil. And oat milk has approximately 1 gram per 240. So that's how many grams per mil there is. And then Lala has a lot more protein. Well, it's about the same as this one because it's a 207 milliliter servings, so that's 0.024 grams per mil. We want to convert them to milligrams because our standards, which are the known values, are in milligrams per mil. So you just multiply by 1,000 to get milligrams per mil. So we have 34 and 24 milligrams per mil. That's what we're estimating because of the nutritional information we're going to find in those samples. What we need is to dilute these samples so that we're in the range of our standards. Okay? So you can see that oat milk is at 4 milligrams per mil, but our highest standard is 1.25. So that's going to be way off the edge of our standard curve. So what we want is to do a 1 to 10 dilution of this so that we'll be pretty much smack dab in the middle of our range, which is what we want to do. And then for Lala, we're going to have to do a 1 to 100 dilution to get it into range, or maybe a 1 to 50 actually might be better for this one. And then maybe a 1 to 100 of this one, or 1 to 50. We'll see. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do those dilutions so that you can see how they're done. So I'll start off with the oat milk. So make sure you mix your sample before you start. I'm going to pour a little bit just in a cup so I'm not pouring from the main container. And I'm going to do a 1 to 10 dilution of the oat milk. So the first mark, the very lowest, smallest mark on your 25 ml graduated cylinder is 2.5 milliliters, and this goes up to 25, so that's a 1 to 10 dilution. If you fill this up with oat milk, or whatever your milk is, and then fill it all the way up here, that'll be a 1 to 10 dilution, so that's what we want. So since I'm pouring from a smaller container, it's a little easier. You can see exactly, kind of put your head down so you can see the meniscus. That's about right. And then I'm just going to pour, actually, you know what, I'm going to use the water from this. So I'm going to take a pipette, the bigger pipette, and I'm just going to fill it up to the 25 ml mark. So when you're making a solution in a graduated cylinder, it's going to not be mixed. So one of the ways to make sure a sample is mixed is to pour it back and forth between two containers. So we're going to try that here. There we go. This way I can make sure it goes just to 25 and not over. Okay. So we're going to take our container. You don't have to use a container like this. You can use any cup. And I'm just going to pour it back and forth, just to make sure it's all out of the graduated cylinder and all fully mixed. Okay, so that's our 1 to 10 dilution. Make sure you either label it or put it on something that's labeled. Let's see here, I'm going to tip this down a little bit so you can see more of what my workspace. Okay, do you see how I put it right here? So I know it's oat milk. It's on my little oat milk section. Okay, Then I'm going to go ahead and rinse my graduated cylinder. I don't have a sink right here, so I have a little bucket of water. Just to make sure, might even rinse it with some fresh water, just to make sure it's completely rinsed between samples. Okay, so now I'm going to measure the Lala, and I'm going to do a 1 to 50 dilution. So I'm going to have to do a serial dilution. So I'm going to do a 1 to 10 dilution, and then I'm going to do a 1 to 5. I'm going to do a 1 to 10 and then a 1 to 5 of the 1 to 10. Okay, so I'll just pour a little bit in here so it's easier to work with. And I'm going to put the smoothie up to the 2.5 mil mark. A little trickier because this is kind of viscous. Okay, and then I'm going to fill that up with water. I'm going to kind of go most of the way by pouring, and then the rest of the way by adding it carefully to the top. There we go, 25. And then I'm going to take a clean cup. I'm going to pour it in there. I'm going to pour it back and forth. You could also take like a long chopstick or something and mix it really well in the graduated cylinder before you pour it into your cup. Okay, so that's a 1 to 10. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dilute that 1 to 5. So a 1 to 5 dilution can be 5 milliliters in 25. So I'm going to take my 1 to 10 and I'm going to fill it up to the 5 mil mark. And then I'm going to pour water into that to the 25 mil mark. So that'll be a 1 to 5. Okay. And take a clean cup, mix it. Okay, so that's my 1 to 50. Okay, so I'm going to mark that on here so I know that it's the 1 to 50, just in case I forget. Alright, so I'm not going to do the fat-free half and half on this video, but you get the idea. I'd probably do a 1 to 50 or a 1 to 100 for that one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do the assay. So you're going to use your multi-well pipette, or sorry, your multi-well tray here. This is a 96 well plate. And you're going to put 250 microliters of your Bradford solution. So to do that, you're going to use the small transfer pipette that you have. So this is the small one, and for the small one, the first mark, which is right here, it's the first raised mark, is the 0.25 mark. You can kind of read it on the thing, but it's hard to see. This is the 0.5, and this is the 0.25. Your other pipette you have is a bigger, wider bore, and that the first mark is 0.5 here, but we want something less than that, so we're going to do the 0.25. Okay, so make sure your pipette is clean. It's well rinsed, really well rinsed. Make sure there's no protein in this sucker. Okay, if you have protein in it, you're going to contaminate your Bradford solution, and then you're done. Okay, so I have no protein in it, and I'm going to, my Bradford solution's in a bigger container because I've been doing lots of tests. Okay, so I'm going to bring it up, and I'm going to fill up the first well, and then again bring it up, fill up the second well. So I have two wells with 0.25 or 250 microliters of Bradford. The Bradford starts out brown. Okay, then to that I'm going to add 1 loop full of the solution I'm trying to test. So these are 10 microliter loops. So when you dip it in like you're doing like with a bubble wand, the wand itself will carry 10 microliters. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do 2 because I want to kind of do them at the same time. I want to do them quickly. So I'm going to take my oat milk, I'm going to stick it in, and I'm going to swirly. I'm going to go ahead and put that in my water, and then I'm going to take my 1 to 50 of the Lala, and I'm going to swirl that. And we're done. Okay, so we're going to wait a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and start my timer and wait about a minute. And then I'm going to compare it to the picture that I gave you, right? Which are the colors of the standards. So I'm going to compare. So I'm going to put it on a white background and I'm going to look to compare the two after a minute. So you can tell that the oat milk sample is already pretty blue. The smoothie sample is not so much. But it hasn't been a whole minute yet. So what you do is you just compare the colors, and that's going to give you your estimate. So I can tell you right now that it looks to me like the oat milk is about at the 4th standard. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 0.5. And the Lala, the diluted Lala, is about, well, it's between the 1.25 and the 2.5. So I'm going to just say it's like about 135. Okay? Or sorry, 0.135. So now we're going to multiply that by our dilution factor. Okay? So we did a 1 to 10 dilution of this, so that's times 10. That gives you 5 milligrams per mil.